Okay, well, we're live. Okay, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's Investors Discovery Day live stream for today, November 17th. I have back with us once again Alex Klenman, the CEO of CRVC, Cross River Ventures. Exciting gold play. Alex, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Jack. We've got some catching up to do. There's been some news since we last spoke.
Definitely. There's been a lot of news. I mean, you've been kind of off on a tear, and the stock. I mean, you really just started trading just recently. You're getting some exciting things going. So let's kind of dive into that. Maybe you want to start. I want to kind of ask you about the acquisition that you announced last week. I'm going to pop up on the screen. I'm going to pop on the screen the map. So maybe to give people a little bit of context, this is the McVicker Lake Gold Project. Tell us a little about this. What made you pick this up?
I'd love to. So what you're looking at there is really what we announced a little while ago, which was the acquisition of a company called Northern Dominion Metals. It was a private company put together by a series of geologists who have great resumes in the business, big discoveries under their belts. This eight project package is in northwestern Ontario along some very prolific greenstone belts. A lot of gold, a lot of mines, a lot of deposits. Really, the place you want to be when you're looking for economic gold deposits. One of the best places in the world to find them, if not the best place to find economic deposits of size. What we've done subsequent to that, which was a week later, we picked up. If you zoom in there on the Lang Lake Belt,
okay,
we got half of the belt basically with our McVicker project, which is contained within the Lang Lake Belt. Those three balloons show you three different projects in the Lang Lake Belt. One of them is McVicker, what we were calling McVicker East. That came with the Northern Dominion portfolio. But subsequent to that, cut a deal with a company called Argo Gold, and we picked up the remaining ground essentially of that belt. And you've got another graphic there that can maybe drill in a little bit.
I'm gonna pop that up. Yeah, I'm gonna pop that up in a second. So essentially, Alex, what you have now is it fair to say you have a district play going at this time?
100% district scale. The McVicker project's now almost 4,000 hectares. Covers some major structural elements of the Lang Lake Belt, which you want to see geologically. And the main thing is to understand where that belt lies between Pickle Crow and Red Lake in the east, or in the west, pardon me. So yeah, there's the drill in on McVicker. Those little gold dots you see are what we call gold occurrences. So those are contained within mine files of the government of Ontario. Those are historic, basically historic gold finds, nothing of size, but certainly the kinds of things you want to see within these files that indicate, mineralization is there. We're going to get into some heavy exploration in 2021. Ultimately, we'd like to drill McVicker. We think there's something sizable perhaps there, but we've got to do the continued groundwork to establish where we think the best places are to put the drills. But you can see the area has high grade, sizable high grade deposits. The Golden Patricia mine there, 600,000 ounce deposit, past producing mine. But we're in a great place, and really, when you and I were speaking earlier, what we want people to understand is these are the opening titles for Cross River. If you want to draw the movie analogy, sometimes you get a little tease before the opening credits. We just did that with these two acquisitions. Credits are rolling now, so it's the very beginning of what we think is a great story.
Yeah, no, so it's very interesting. So bottom line is, you're in the right place. There's definitely, what is it? there's a significant history of gold discovery of mining in this area, the area
Yeah.
you're in. So it's a great area, and most importantly, it's the right time. I mean, I think, look, gold. We've been saying for a while, maybe 6 months, that gold. We're about to get into a major bull market in gold. I mean, like the
Yeah.
$2,000 level is really nothing.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, Even all the gurus that we speak to, they're also looking at 3,500, 5,000. I mean, we're saying 5,000 gold because it just has a good, it's got a good sound. But realistically speaking, there's really no reason why gold can't be trading at 3,000, $3,500 within the
Well, we
next.
see it. Everybody sees it. I think monetary policies, fiscal responsibility, also irresponsibility. These things are contributing mightily to currency breakdowns, which also favor gold. And we're going to see money printing at an epic scale. We've got a stimulus package that'll show up here in the next 60 days or less, and that'll have a major impact on the price of gold. I think we're headed where we want to be.
So, Alex, in terms of, but even if gold stays at 2,000, let's say it doesn't go anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like with what you have right now, the projects that you have that you've kind of assembled in this district scale play, this district scale gold play, in Ontario. What's the upside? Because I mean, our audience kind of wants to know is what's going to make this stock a 10 bagger, right?
Absolutely.
Let's walk us through kind of the process. What needs to happen to go from where the stock is to $5?
Absolutely. Well, it's pretty clear. It's not rocket science. What you want to do is you want to have somebody on board, very much with a history of discovery. And we have a technical team, headed by Dr. Robert Carpenter. Rob we've spoken about him in the past, you and I have, but Rob and his team were responsible for the coffee gold deposit, the discovery of the coffee gold deposit in the Yukon. The company called Kaminik, which Rob founded. Kaminik sold for $500 million in 2016 to Goldcorp. So the team, there's PhDs, there's masters. These guys know what they're doing when it comes to geology and exploration. So that's the team, the technical team, essentially behind projects, and they were handpicked by these guys. So we didn't just. This isn't just a staking ground and hoping for the best. This is educated. It's backed with data. It's backed with decades of knowledge. And we're going to, our goal is to uncover the next big find. And when you look at the people we have, you look at the area we're in, you look at where we are in our life cycle as a public company, it ticks off all the boxes for an exploration investment. And look, we've talked about this. It's no secret, in a bull market, you need to have some earlier stage exploration companies in your portfolio, 100%. We're often described as high risk, high reward. I would argue that this is less risk, high reward, simply with the provenance and the pedigree behind the projects and the people behind the projects. So that de-risks it to a large degree. There's no guarantees, but if you want to line yourself up, it's an early stage, tightly held deal that's going to be aggressively searching for that discovery. I think Cross River meets a lot of the criteria.
And from Alex, from a valuation perspective, like right now, how many shares out? Like what's the market cap right now?
We're under 20 million. I think once all of the property deals are approved by the exchange, we'll be right around 21 million shares out.
Okay, so under 10 million market cap, basically, still.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Where we are is the very beginning. So just watch us and watch how we get things going. But there's so many boxes that are ticked. It's hard to argue against it.
So the size of the project, and we'll get into some of the other things that you have going on, but like in this size of this, in terms of the size of the project that you have now, this hang on a second, the district play here. So there's a lot of room for news flow as you do exploration here in the coming months, etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we could see, I mean, we could definitely see some, I mean, basically what you have is you have multiple catalysts right now
Mhm.
to create value in the stock between this and we'll go into your a BC project as well.
Right. Well, one of the things, listen, that you mentioned, what propels the stock? You know what propels the stock? A drill hole. That's what does it. And we have, a really good shot at making a discovery that's going to be impactful, just because of where we are and the people behind the deal. There's people say, well, how can deposits have been overlooked? Very easily. The last bit of work on McVicker really was done in the 90s by BHP. Got a little bit of their data. For example, they did a channel sample in one area. There were 34 samples taken in one specific area. The average grade of those samples was 28 grams per ton gold. So that's I mean, yes, it's not a deposit, but it's certainly something you'd like to see at the surface. I mean, some of those samples came in at over 500 grams per ton. Now, we're not going to find a deposit that has 500 grams per ton, but something's mineralized the area there. Some event has put gold into those systems of a high grade, and no one's really done any work there. The new technologies that we have for high resolution magnetic surveys and things like that really begin to tell a story that wasn't available to the people back in the 90s. So we're going to apply some newer techniques, and we're going to delineate some targets that we believe are going to be very beneficial for Cross River.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, yeah, I think one of the questions, yeah, we'll get into the audience questions. We've got audience questions coming in. Alex, do you see on the screen questions popping up?
Yeah, I see.
Okay. You want to answer Eric's question about the grams per ton?
Yeah, I don't have the data in front of me, but I do have the grams per ton, which I just mentioned from McVicker, from the historic work that BHP did. But I don't have the PPB. I don't have the technical report in front of me. The mine file report's pretty lengthy. It's actually in our news release from November 12th, the assessment report numbers. So if anybody wants to go and dig around on the internet and look at, go to our website, read the news release. You can get the file numbers there, and you can actually go and read what BHP put together in the early 90s.
So I think one of the questions, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have it, and you kind of touched on it, is, they're asking, hey, how can, if you have this great, potential discovery, how can this have been, overlooked? And, yeah, I mean, this happens all the time. There's like the companies there, there's so much ground, right? I mean,
sure. A lot of it has to do with interpretation, because we can't see underground. So you need technical people who have the expertise to be able to take the data and interpret the data appropriately, properly, and accurately. And that's how you find these things. The last, Red Lake had a big history, but it was basically dormant until Great Bear came along and made a big discovery. And then everybody rushed back to Red Lake. The fact is the Archean, it's the eon, the Archean era is when a lot of this mineralization was taking place. So, we're talking about events that happened millions of years ago. But there's so much ground there, and there's so much. I mean, people say, one of the questions I had recently was, why did BHP walk away from the beginning work in that area? Very simply put, Bre-X. A lot of Bre-X killed mining in Canada, and it killed mining in these areas, and BHP walked. So it hasn't really been explored. Argo had a big position here. Weren't able to do a lot of work. We were able to piece this together, and it excites the right people. Put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, really, gold was pretty much dead up until what, the early 2000s, and then it went dead again in Canada for.
Yeah, I mean, everything happens with the metal price. I remember when we crossed the $1,000 threshold per ounce, people were popping corks in the street. Now people are yawning at 1,800. It's down $5 or $10, and they're selling. It's craziness.
You know what, Alex? You know what's crazy, and I'm not like a gold bug or anything. I'm just kind of like just a markets guy. And I remember I was having a conversation with a CEO of this guy was doing nanotechnology. Okay, this is you remember nanotech was like a hot theme maybe 2005. Okay, so this guy was doing that, but his background was in gold, and I told him, hey, and this is again 2005. I think gold was 700. I don't know, but I said, hey man, the gold is going to be $1,000 an ounce very soon, and he was, no, you're crazy. And he gave me like a million reasons,
Yeah.
and then again, sure enough, I mean, it is 1,000. We're way beyond 1,000, but so I think people really don't realize when this thing starts, it's like a freight train. And I think one of the things that we want to do with our kind of platform with Wall Street Reporter right now is, and we were doing a lot of gold stocks, some years back, 08, 9, whatever, 7. But I think like right now, gold is getting ready for a massive move, and we want to kind of highlight, really exciting, compelling, junior miners, explorers, which could really have the most upside from a big move in gold. So, guys like you who have the right projects.
Right. We think we fit that criteria absolutely to a T. And again, I'll mention that checklist. We've only got 20 million shares out. We could easily do a significant raise in 2021 and still be well under 30 million shares out. That's almost the perfect amount. You have a little bit of distribution, enough liquidity. And if you hit that drill hole, I mean, let's go back to Great Bear. And I'm not suggesting that we're the next Great Bear, because that was a generational find. But
for anybody that's new, what is Great Bear?
Great Bear, GBR.
Great Bear.
Go take a look at GBR. They made a discovery a few years back, very high grade discovery, just south of Red Lake, the Dixie project, and it put them on the map, changed things. They had about 30 million shares out when they hit that hole. So we're in the same structural range that Great Bear was when they began their serious exploration at Dixie. I should mention, there's another tie in there. The person who sold the land to Great Bear is a man named Perry English. He's also the guy who was behind the majority of the projects we just picked up with the Northern Dominion Metals portfolio. So, a lot of the staking was done by the same guy. Now, he's staked a lot of ground in that part of the world, but, he's got a history of staking good projects. So we've got that behind us. We've got the Carpenter and his team behind us. We're in the right area that's been underexplored in terms of not just groundwork, but also not having any modern technical techniques applied to it for exploration. I mentioned the high resolution surveys. So all of those things come together. We're going to drill a hole, and I hope that hole comes sooner rather than later. But at some point, we're going to make some type of discovery in one of these projects, and that's where you want to be positioned.
Yeah. Okay. So I think again, one of the critical things is that the provenance of the project. The people, the geologists who founded, their involvement. So that's a key thing. So it looks like you got a lot of things kind of, the odds are getting kind of stacked. With these things, you never know what's going to happen, but
right.
You want to be in a play where the odds are stacked in your favor. You have everything kind of going for it.
Right.
The people, the ground, etc. Hey, Alex, I want to ask you about Tassa's Gold. This is the news you just put out now. Tell us what that's about.
Yeah, it's a large property on Vancouver Island. It's in proximity to a famous gold camp from earlier in the 1900s, and we have it's almost 5,000 hectares. We have 3 or 4 zones there. One of them has just been discovered, so we want to do some groundwork, evaluate the prospects where we think we might find something of size, and but it's our one BC property. It's close to home, so we're ongoing. We've got now 10 projects in the company, and we're going to work all of them over the course of the next 12 months. I think our main focus obviously is going to be on the McVicker project, but we are getting work done on a daily basis. The guys here in BC are on the ground getting some work done now. We'll have some sample results out before too long, and hopefully we're going to start to figure out just how this BC property works for us.
Okay. We got Eric saying that Great Bear, to give people some context.
Yeah.
The stock went from 35 cents to $18. So that's a 50 bagger. A 50
Yeah.
bagger. I
Now,
mean,
now
these,
those things don't happen every day. Let's be clear. But what it does is it shows you how a stock in that 30 or 40 cent range, or even 50 cent range, that's in that 20, 30 million share structure count. If you're in that neighborhood and you hit a hole, yeah, you're gonna have what drives the price up is supply and demand. There's not a lot of stock out there, and if demand outweighs the supply, boom, you're gonna have that type of return. Now, what I like is the people who are directing exploration and the drilling for Cross River have made massive discoveries before. These people know what they're doing. They're technically sound. They're among the best in the business. So the fact is that we have these people on board. They're helping us with this projects and with the project portfolio because they handpicked it. They didn't pick it just because they wanted to sell it to a pubco and walk away. They did it because they believe that there's discovery here. Whether it's McVicker, which we really think is the place to be, or one of the other projects, we've got almost 20,000 hectares in prime ground in northwestern Ontario, which is a great place for mining. No real geopolitical concern. We're not going to, a dictator isn't, there's going to be a coup in Ontario as far as I know. So, we're going to be there for a while. It's a reasonably, the cost to carry these projects are very reasonable. But it opens up a lot of doors for us. And like I say, if this was a movie, you'd be staring at your screen right now and you'd see some credits rolling. And that's the beginning. You want to be there at the beginning stage.
yeah, absolutely. So I just want to kind of, talk about this. Why is this important? Yeah, Eric, brings up, Great Bear. So here's a stock that was a 50 bagger, basically in the same region where you are, right? The same,
Yeah.
same neighborhood,
Same
same,
neighborhood.
same
Absolutely.
neighborhood, same people, more or less.
More or less. I mean, look, Carpenter and his Dr. Carpenter and the tech team from Northern Dominion weren't involved with the Great Bear discovery. But certainly Perry English, the prospector who staked the ground, also staked the majority of the projects in Northern Dominion, in the Northern Dominion portfolio that we acquired. So again, like you mentioned, provenance and pedigree, I think, are important. This isn't just, there's some open ground over there. Let's go stake it and hope for the best. These are people who researched what was there, the structural elements, the geological components, where it lies on the greenstone belts. Remember, the massive gold discoveries are contained within these greenstone belts. So we have, district scale, as you mentioned, but we're all over these belts now with the project portfolio. We like our chances.
Yeah, so there's a good potential pipeline of news.
Yeah,
Again, so you got you get the provenance of in terms of Great Bear. I think what I like about that is that kind of as CRVC kind of gets better known, because again you're only trading for what, a
yeah.
couple of weeks, a few months.
Well, July. We started trading in
July.
July. But really, nothing happened until we started to make our acquisitions, which is really in the last 30
So the
days.
stock, I mean, basically, the stock is kind of like a virgin stock. I mean, it's not one of these things that's been around for
Uh,
a long time. So you have a relatively fresh story, and I think
yeah,
once people start seeing some traction, I think once you start showing some traction, and then you will have that kind of, again. I look at these stocks in terms of from like that, like sentiment, the investor psychology, and look. At the end of the day, these things are speculative, right? So
yeah.
gold explorer, it's pure speculation, for the most part. So I think once you start showing that that traction, people could then start bringing up the Great Bear story, the extrapolation, and then they can extrapolate that value from Great Bear,
Sure.
that massive run, to potentially CRVC. So which is, I think, a key thing which we haven't talked about, but to me, as, let's say, an investor, I think that's important. We got
Yeah.
Eric.
Let's talk speculation for a minute, and then we'll do Eric's question there. But it's funny, if you go to the track and you bet on a horse, you're going to look at the jockey. You're going to look at the pedigree of the horse. You're going to look for conditions. You're going to look for, maybe, has the horse had any wins before? Has the jockey had any wins? And then you're going to place your bet. That's a form of speculation. If you bet on NFL football, you're going to look at all sorts of data before you make your bet. And when you look at Cross River, you're going to also find the same type of thing. You're going to have to look at who's behind it. What are the odds? Oh, looks like I lost my screen. There we are. And then you're going to make your bet. And I think if you look here again, pedigree and provenance are two very, very important factors, and we can deliver that. And we're going to be aggressive. We're not sitting back. We're not going to sit on our thumbs. We're going to explore these properties because we know the value can only be unlocked by drilling, and we're going to do it.
Okay, so that takes us into Eric's question here. Timeline, an exploration.
Well, as we mentioned, works are right now going on our BC properties. The technical team right now is doing a lot of data acquisition and review on several of the projects. In particular, we're getting the Northern Dominion guys into the data we just received from Argo on the other side of the McVicker project, which was McVicker Lake. So that's our new acquisition. So we're getting familiar with the data there, the historical data, the work that they've generated. So through Q1 2021, targeting will be set. We'll be doing some airborne surveys, high resolution surveys, which will give us better data as to where we want to get into the drilling. We'll be on the ground in late spring, early summer on basically all of the projects, but mostly McVicker and a couple of the other ones, the priority projects. That'll happen through the end of Q1, Q2. And then it'll be just news flow from there. We're capitalized. We're going to be more capitalized as we move forward. We have no problem raising money. We'd like to do it at a higher price, obviously, but there's no pressure on us today. We raised 1.7 million a couple months ago, so Treasury is good. And so, really, these things don't happen overnight. You need to, in the old days, and I say the old days, my God, it was just a few years ago. If you bought into an explorer, the expectations was a 2-year deal. You were buying in. You were going to give the explorer 2 years to find or not find something, and then you make your call. Right now, people are they trade out in 2 days. So we're trying to tell people, look, make your bet, get in here, take a look at what we're doing, and we're going to do a lot of work in 2021. There'll be a lot of catalysts. Everything we do is new, really new news on these projects. So they're all going to lean the right way, and we'll see where we go.
Okay, excellent. Alex, to wrap up, I mean, just let's say top 3 reasons investors should consider CRVC today, right now.
Perfect. Number 1, we've been public since July, so our outstanding shares are tight. We're in the early days of our life cycle. We have a robust portfolio. I don't know if you're going to find an explorer at this stage in the game with 10 projects and such a heavy presence in northwestern Ontario. People who pick the projects, as we mentioned, and the provenance as to who staked them. Some great people. We have knowledge, we have expertise, we have history, and we're just at the beginning. The credits are still rolling, so you haven't missed anything. If you want to sit down and enjoy a good story, it starts right now.
So get your popcorn ready, and because we're about to start rolling here. Okay, Alex, great to have you back, and we're going to catch up with you probably in the next week or two once you get some more news. So we'll have you back.
Yeah, we've got more news coming. We're active. We've got things on the go, and we'll put out some news in a week or so here that'll improve the story.
Fantastic, Alex. Thank you again.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it.